Hey, RosterWatch Nation, it's your friendly neighborhood Trashman, and this is the Garbage Grab. Today, I'm going to be talking about my must-own receivers. A true stud fantasy receiver depends on the 3 T's: talent, team, and target share. And based on those parameters, these are my top 5 must-own rookie receivers come week 1 of the NFL season. First off, we have CeeDee Lamb of the Cowboys. If you couldn't have guessed, Lamb was our consensus number 1 receiver in this year's draft. He can literally do it all on the field. He's a combination of possession receiver and field stretcher. The one chink in Lamb's armor, according to some, is that he didn't face much press coverage in college and therefore isn't that good against press coverage. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter to me. And that is because Lamb is going to be playing predominantly out of the slot. Slot receivers play off the line of scrimmage, so they don't face much press coverage. Lamb is going to see a ton of targets as Dak's safety valve, basically, underneath and over the middle and beyond. As I can say, he can do really anything on the field. He actually led the nation in yards run per route out of the slot last season with 6.11 yards. The 2020 RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet, it is available now at RosterWatch.com. The revolutionary cheat sheet that changed fantasy football forever is back only at RosterWatch.com. The RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet, all you have to do is follow 3 simple rules. That's it, 3. Couldn't be easier. An expert quality fantasy football draft is guaranteed. The RosterWatch Draft Cheat Sheet only at RosterWatch.com. After CeeDee Lamb, I have Justin Jefferson of the Vikings. He's an excellent route runner with really good hands. He benefits mostly from Stefon Diggs being traded to the Bills and potentially Dalvin Cook's contract holdout, should he choose to do so. Diggs left a big hole in the offense, and that's going to be filled almost entirely by Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Yes, Tajay Sharp was added to the receiving core, but he's a role player at best, and the Vikings mainly use 2 wide receiver sets because they use a lot of 2 tight end sets. If Cook misses time from a holdout as well, Jefferson would be asked to pick up the slack, as Alexander Mattison is not quite the pass catcher or at all the pass catcher that Dalvin Cook is. In any case, Jefferson is going to start the season as the number 2 in a solid Minnesota offense, so I have to like him in redraft leagues and otherwise right out of the gate. Another guy I really like to start the season hot in redrafts and otherwise is Jalen Brieger of the Eagles. Brieger was already primed to be the starter on the outside opposite Deshaun Jackson, with Alshon Jeffrey out without a timetable with a foot injury, a Lisfranc injury. But, I mean, Deshaun Jackson isn't doing himself any help with his recent off-field antics and his anti-Semitic tweets. And it could spell the end of his time in Philadelphia. Jackson did look like the leading candidate to be the Eagles' leading receiver this year, but all bets are off right now. Brieger could be the big winner earlier than a lot of people thought. A lot of people thought it would be at least a year before Brieger broke out, but it looks like it could be a lot sooner. He's got a 42-inch vertical, and he's got a nose for the end zone. He accounted for 40% of TCU's receiving scores during his time there. So even though he isn't a big guy, he knows how to find the end zone. And what he is in line for is big things in the Eagles' pass-heavy offense. After Brieger, I have Denzil Mims of the Jets. Mims is actually my dark horse candidate to lead all rookies in receiving in 2020 as the outside man, the field stretcher in the Sam Darnold-led Jets offense. He was the only receiver in college football to have at least 8 touchdowns in each of his last 3 seasons. each of the last 3 seasons. He flew off the screen in his tape. That's when I fell in love, enough so to make him really arguably my favorite receiver coming into the draft. And after the combine that he had, which really broke everybody's phones, he ran a 4.38 40 amongst other amazing, athletic, daring dudes. The rest of the fantasy world started to pay attention after that. I was there first, though. Remember that, folks. Mims is a downfield specialist, much like the man who replaced Robbie Anderson, but he's a much more physical player than Anderson. He was second in most contested catches in the FBS last year with 20. We know that Sam Darnold can throw the ball up, and the odds are pretty good that Mims is going to be able to come down with the ball most of the time. So I really like him this season in redrafts and otherwise. Brendon Iu is my last receiver in my top 5. Brendon Iu of the 49ers. No, I didn't forget about Jerry Jeudy. No, I didn't forget about Henry Ruggs. It's just that Jeudy has Cortland Sutton and KJ Hamler to compete for looks, and Noah Fant, and all from a very suspect Drew Lock, in my opinion. And Ruggs is a deep threat, for all intents and purposes, on a team that ranked 30th in passes over 20 yards in 2019. So I don't know what we have going on there. I want to see it. I'm going to need to see it before I believe it. If we're talking about early and often 2020 impact, Brendon Iu is your man. Really, without even bringing his skill set into play, he's already in a terrific position to capitalize on the 49ers, losing Deebo Samuel for 10 to maybe 16 weeks with a Jones fracture, the same injury that kept Trent Taylor off the field for the entire 2019 season. They kept trying to hurry him back, and he kept having setbacks. He ended up having 5 surgeries due to those setbacks. Ayuk is less of a stout build than Samuel. Samuel's basically a running back playing the receiver position, but Ayuk's after the catch prowess is second to none on the team. Some would say he's more of a deep ball receiver, and Jimmy Garoppolo is not a good match. But Ayuk is a wizard with the ball in his hand, regardless of where he catches it. So I'm not worried about that. I think Ayuk is going to do major things in this 49ers offense, an offense that got to the Super Bowl in 2019. And so that's something I have to take into consideration. I think the offense for the 49ers is better than that of the Broncos and the Raiders. So there you have it, my top 5 must-own rookie receivers and redrafts especially. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you've heard, give us a follow, subscribe to us, join RosterWatch Nation on rosterwatch.com. Leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Anyways, on behalf of Roster Watch, I am the Trashman. Until next time, be ready.